Ahoy there! Welcome to the crew of Paranormal Parlay. We talk about the weird and strange and have a bit of fun doing it. So sit down, grab a pint, and enjoy the show. Again to Paranormal Parlay. We're here to talk about ghosts and ghouls and goblins and talk about some of our favorite historical ghost stories and then some of our own personal experiences. And then get into why we think ghosts exist and why we what we think of these ghost hunter shows on TV and such. Cody, you want to talk about your famous ghost story that you like?
All right. So I guess if we're going to talk about famous ghosts, we're going to get into the story Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow was a book written by a dude named Washington Irving back in 17. I think that was when it was written, but it might have been when he was living in Tarrytown, New York. Point is, this all started in Tarrytown, New York. In 1798, Irving moved to the small town that we now know as Sleepy Hollow. It was a small town in the Hudson River Valley of New York State. There were small but tranquil life going on in the upper New York State area. Irving heard of a headless horseman who rode through the night, a Hessian who had been killed in the Revolutionary War, who rode with his head on the pommel of the horse like a lantern and would chase after people like that were running. I don't know what they were doing. Fuck, I don't know what's going on back in 78. I don't know, gangsters. Fucking Scottish gangsters? We'll see. So, this Hessian soldier in the Revolutionary War got his head shot off by a cannonball. He was riding that horse. That's where the legend started. Now, that story was in Irving's notes. So he had heard that story prior to that. In fact, we'll get into the history of that story in just a minute. The idea of the story was that the headless horseman rode looking for his head every night. But then he had like the spirit head on his pommel, so that's weird. I don't know. Ichabod Crane moved to town. He was a teacher, but he's also kind of a charlatan. He moved his way in, kind of like Johnny Appleseed. He would just kind of force his way in and stay the night at your house, and you had to deal with it. And he settled down there and became a farmhand until he met Katrina Van Tassel, the richest lady in the town. She was probably like 12 because these stories are fucked up. But he was falling in love with her, and he was teaching her singing lessons. She had a boyfriend named Brom Bones. He was jealous. Then, yeah, that's kind of what leads to the end of the story in the fictional version. Ichabod went to the Halloween party where he heard some ghost stories. Now, everything kicked off at the Halloween party. That's where all this stuff kind of goes down. That's where apparently, I don't know, like Ichabod pissed off Katrina Van Tassel. They got into it, somehow got in Brom Bones. You all know the story pretty much from the characters, but somebody pissed off Ichabod. Ichabod left the party after hearing a few scary stories. The one in particular that sticks out to me is the woman from Raven Rock. I don't know if you remember the story or not, but she had a child, and they were out in the snow during a snowstorm in the wintertime in the area, and they got lost near a cave. They went into the cave. She held the child, and that's why you hear the shrieks during wintertime, was her voice of her freezing to death in the cave. Yay! Cool story. So that's the woman in white tail that he heard, and he got freaked out. Something happened to Brom telling the story of chasing the headless horseman, or racing the headless horseman at the Halloween party, and for like a bowl of punch or some shit. No, something stupid. And he went through the old bridge where he was able to escape the headless horseman, and so Ichabod remembers that when he leaves and starts riding through countryside, and the headless horseman starts chasing him. And of course, you guys know from the Disney movie that he rides to the bridge. He thinks he beats him. Horseman takes his head, woof, hits him, and he disappears. And every time it's brought up to Brom Bones, he laughs. But then later in the story, it also is like, but yeah, people have seen him in New York, so it's whatever. It's funny that the story comes from Irving hearing that little bit of a story about the actual Hessian who got his head cut off in the Revolutionary War, but also a story from Ireland and Scotland called the Dullahan, which is a rider that comes at night. He's dressed in black. He has the head on the pommel, just like the horseman. Like in the book, it was like it wasn't a pumpkin. It was the horseman's freaking head that was glowing, sitting on the pommel. That worked like a lantern. And so the Irish story is the same thing. He throws like a bucket of blood on you if he chases you, which is crazy. And he has a death coach that he doesn't take when he rides his horse. This guy's way scarier than the Headless Horseman because he has a death coach, and that's awesome. Irish Tale of the Horseman and Charlie Chillane, where he rides up to Charlie Chillane, but he's like on a white horse. He rides next to him, and he's like, "Hey, you want to race?" And he's got this awful, like, rotted head under his arm. And Charlie's asked to race, and he loses. Horseman's like, "Hey, no, it's okay, because me and my horse, we rode off this bridge one time, and we fell to the bottom and broke our necks, and it sucked. But hey, if you're not an asshole, that won't happen to you." Or something, I don't know, some kind of, like, moral to that story. And it also draws a bit from the German tale, where a lady hears a war horse riding up when she's picking acorns. And he comes up and he's all gray. And he asks if she's ever been punished for stealing the acorn. She said, "No, because I'm poor." And so she prays for forgiveness. And then he comes back. And so once again, it's like this force for good. And he's like, "Hey, that's pretty cool. Don't be an asshole. And God loves you." And so, you know, once again, the Horseman kind of had a positive tale. Ultimately, the oldest ghost story in America comes from Washington Irving hearing one scary story about a Hessian get his head blown off, and a couple of stories that are pretty wholesome from the old.
Dude, that was a great story.
Welcome.
I was actually literally just listening to a podcast the other day that recounted the whole story, and you were spot on with all those details.
It's something I've been obsessed with since I was a child.
Well, it's paid off. I think you'd be qualified as an expert here, huh?
As a Ichabod Crane expert? No. But I have been there. And that was a fun
Wait.
trip.
Yes.
Yes.
To the town.
I went to Tarrytown, New York. So I was supposed to
Right.
go to Salem, and I didn't get to make the trip to Salem, but when I went to stay with one of my friends in Boston, we went from Boston to New York and stayed with one of his friends in New York. And when we stayed in New York, we didn't go to, like, Manhattan very much. We went one day, but we spent a lot of time in the greater state of New York. And we went into well, it was like New England stuff in general, and we ended up going to Tarrytown, and that was really fun. I don't even remember if that was in actually New York. I think it was New York State for sure. But anyway, you cross a lot of states pretty quickly when you're in New England, like in one day, all of a sudden, and it was really neat. Like, I mean, you know, they have all their stuff set up, with the bridge is there, everything's there, so you can, you know, you can see it. It's not as cool as Salem, obviously, but I didn't get to go, so I mean, kind of a letdown. But honestly, that was way cooler in the end, because when I was a kid, there were 3 different Ichabod Crane cartoons that I can remember. There was the Disney one, there was the one that I'm thinking about that was super scary, and there was like a little cheap one that was like 5 minutes long. The one thing that was super scary, I've not seen it in years, but it's really incredible. It's a lot of stop motion photography. And hey, if anybody knows what that is, let me know, because I want to watch it. I haven't seen it since I was like 12. So thanks a lot. And I love Ichabod and Mr. Toad, that part of the DVD too. But yeah, Sleepy Hollow's my bag, man.
It's excellent. It's an excellent story. It's a weird little town, and I actually heard that some like famous like people were buried there, like Andrew Carnegie for just a weird little bit of
Yeah,
extra lore for that area.
it was a big part. There was a huge ferry system right there in that section of New York that across from kind of one side of the Hudson River to the other. So I mean, that town was not just little town, quiet village. It was a little town, quiet village with a bunch of port shit.
Gotcha.
So, are we in agreement that the headless, horseman is just a dude with a pumpkin on his arm, like
That's Brom
in a
Bones?
suit, I mean,
Yes.
it's got to be
100%.
like it. The head, it
100%.
has to be.
Brom Bones scared Ichabod Crane.
Yeah,
So that's what happened.
yeah. They can sit there and say
I mean,
it's
that's
this
point of it.
dude, this horseman holding his head and riding through town. No, the dude's in a suit making his head look like it's gone and holding the
Yeah.
pumpkin. I mean, it's a dude.
It's kind of like the awesomeness that is the Mothman town in West Virginia. Is it Virginia or West Virginia? It is more of a tourist location than anything, but that makes it, kind of makes it all these great tales that hold it together.
So is a Mothman a dude? I mean, is that confirmed or?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't think it's even a dude. I think it's just a tale.
well, I mean, there's photographs, so I don't know.
I don't know either.
Like, photographs everything. Doesn't mean it.
I've seen some pretty convincing UFOs, but not with my own eyes. Well, actually, with my own eyes, I've seen some stuff, but I don't know what they were.
Right.
They were
Are they
unidentified.
unidentified?
They were definitely unidentified, and they were flying, and they were objects.
They're UFOs. There you go.
All right, so I think
Whatever those were.
Eric was going to bring us more of a new age urban tale, right?
Yeah, I was gonna talk briefly about the black-eyed kids.
Sorry, I gotta mute
This
my
is
mic.
so terrifying.
I gotta
This is
mute
so
my mic
scary.
on this one, dude. For real, I'm gonna laugh way too hard, like way too hard. It's gonna be horrible. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I got it. So basically, the black-eyed kids is a new urban legend. It's been around since like maybe a couple years ago. And the idea is that you'll be out somewhere, and you'll be just get in your car, and some kids will step up next to the car window. They'll knock on it and ask for you to like help them, make a phone call or help them to get. And there's that sense of unease or whatever, but you don't notice anything wrong. So you look at their eyes, which are pitch black. Like there's no white of the eyes, there's nothing there. And so these kids pop up from time to time in various places. And they're always the sinister, ominous force that just sends the shivers down people's spines when they. The worst thing about this, though, is that I say that as soon as you hear a story or the story about the black-eyed kids, you'll be visited by them at some. I don't know. Cody, you said you had some of that.
Is this a creepypasta?
Some of that info on the black-eyed.
Yeah, no, see, this is where it gets to you, right? This is what that's how it gets to you. It 100% just supplanted the fucking idea in your head. So it doesn't matter if it's not real, because it's not. But it doesn't matter because now it's in your head, and that 0.000000991% chance that you were going to think about it is right then before you fall asleep. And that is how a fear is taken from a tale and created into an urban myth that permeates through phobias in people's brains. This happened with colophobia the clown phobia after it came out. No one was scared of clowns before that movie, or for that book anyway. I don't know exactly how it turned out, but like pretty much before there were scary clowns in media, no one thought clowns were scary. It wasn't a phobia. But suddenly you made clowns scary and everyone was afraid of it. Started with the Gacy stuff and the It stuff. So like somewhere in there. But it's
Yeah.
crazy that media can create a phobia that never existed before. Jaws did it, by the way.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
A lot of people don't
went
realize
from,
that.
Yeah, they went from like not even giving a heck about sharks
No.
to suddenly it's oh, we saw a fin in the water, everybody get out of the water, run away, go kill it.
People, when Jaws came out, people were suing Steven Spielberg and the studio because it was ruining their beach business.
People
We're
could be
talking about
driven
a fear
to
that is
a mass hysteria, man. Like that's herd
yeah,
mentality.
absolutely.
That's driving people to a mass hysteria. Okay, and you can create a fear if you, and the media does a lot of it. You could create a fear in people where it changes everything about social norms. It changes everything about how they think, how they act, everything. You can reprogram society in a way that no government can. All right, and that's where it gets real scary because you introduce that level of
Yeah.
fear into something. Even like creepypastas online, man. You get enough of that tale going about, you create a mass hysteria, and through mass hysteria, you've basically willed something to be into existence. At that point.
Yeah, I mean, we're all at an age, I believe, that we can remember a time before Slender Man actually existed. That was not real. But we can remember before that, but still, there are people now who don't remember before that who are absolutely terrified of that, of the concept of Slender Man. Even though it's not real. They think about it maybe for a split second. It's like, okay, the other day, somebody brought up a great example of this. There's a movie called Fire in the Sky that came out in the 90s that absolutely terrified a generation for being abducted by aliens and what would happen. If you watched that movie when you were a kid, it absolutely screwed you up.
Yeah, because you get one person watching something like that and becoming fearful of it, and then he gets other people on board of his cause, and it permeates and it grows, it expands. And I believe that a lot of the phobias and stuff we have today, they stem from mass hysteria. You know, uh, I mean, people
More
would
than
be,
likely. Not afraid
and
of the dark. Fear of the
yeah,
dark is a
yeah,
good
fear of the
idea.
dark is one. Like there's nothing really to be afraid of the dark. There's nothing in the dark that wasn't there in the light.
No,
But for some reason, as humans,
there isn't.
we've been programmed through generations to be scared of the dark, even though I know there's nothing outside, and there's nothing outside. If I walk outside right now, I'm still going to be kind of scared to be outside, because it's dark and there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of light out here, So I mean,
But if I go to the edges of civilization,
yeah,
then the wolves and the bears are out there.
yeah, and
So that's why.
that's what we think, That's why we're scared of the dark.
Yeah.
It just becomes a mass
They're
hysteria
still
that
there.
everybody has. Yeah, they're still there.
They're
They're there in
still
the
there, but
daytime.
it's billions of years ago.
Isn't that
Billions
what
of years
stories
ago. That's what we're
stories are
afraid
for
of.
us to like tell everybody what we're afraid of or what to be afraid of. So
Ultimately, I think it
modern
does.
storytellers are doing that, but it's for the reverse reason that it used to be. You used to need to know what was scary through these stories. Now we don't need to worry about it because we've essentially mastered our environment to the point where we need the stories to actually scare us instead of the stories teaching us what to be scared of.
Also, people found recreational drugs, and when they started doing them, they started thinking about all the scary shit they don't think about normally. So they're like, wait, yo, I'm drunk, and that's crazy. what if there's shadow monsters in the dark? And somebody thought about that, and then someone else thought about that, and they talked about it. And that's all it takes.
That's all it takes, man. It's just spread ahead,
That's how
mass
fears
hysteria.
are born, and then phobias. Yep.
I mean,
Trust me. We are very weak. I promise
oh
you.
yeah, yeah. We could be herded by any major news corporation or any kind of like major film producer, anything like that. We could be herded. We could be completely mentally broken down and changed in an instant. I mean, that's just how it works. So,
Millions of people died in the Russian gulag, and that just happened. So there you go.
So
They didn't have to, but they went.
Ashley, what was your famous one you was going to talk about this week?
Shadow people.
Ah!
Yes, shadow people.
I hate this, by the way.
No, like they've been dated back to, Native American time. Like the Indians have saw these like, I don't know, they're described as like humanoid figures, and the most famous one is probably, they call him the Hat Man. He appears in like a business suit, and I think he wears like a black fedora hat. But no, like they done an interview like back in 2001, I believe, with a elder Native American, and he had talked about them like seeing sightings of them and things like that. But they're pretty scary, I think.
Yeah, they're really terrifying.
I mean, is this sort of the same
I've
thing
heard-
as like a
I've heard tales
skinwalker?
of-
Is that what it is? Am I missing something here? Like-
No!
No, they're separate.
This is a ghost.
Okay.
This is like, it's like black mass. Like it's just like a black mass. Like they just appear like people. It's been said that they're like from another dimension.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
kind of
Do you
different
guys want to
from
hear a
ghosts
real
because they're not
story from my
stuck in
actual?
location.
Do you guys want to hear a real story from my actual like history of knowing some stuff
Yes, please.
about the shadow people? Okay. So, when I first got into, and I consider myself an amateur.
Not to interrupt, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and go, guys. I'm so sorry, but I have so
you're okay.
much packing to do, and this trying to listen to y'all and pack and everything else is just getting in the way right now. So I'm gonna have to just do this next week on a different type of podcast thing. So I'm so sorry, unless Jesse wants to record something later for me.
Okay, hon. Well,
See?
I guess we'll talk to you later, honey.
All right, I'm so sorry, y'all.
It's cool, Jen.
No problem.
We'll see ya. This is good.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
All right. So, I consider myself an amateur paranormal investigator, and by that I mean, I don't know, stuff. People tell me stories. I go and check stuff out. Stuff's happened before, but I'm not sure yet. But I'm sure something's going, and that's a lot better than being completely skeptical. But I'm a big skeptic. Anyway, so the first thing that I was ever clued in on was the first case I ever took, like completely. I just graduated high school, and my grandmother was still the circuit court clerk, and a lady had come in to the clerk's office while I was hanging out in there working that day, and was asking about what she could do about her house. And her house was built on Indian Mound subdivision, which is in Jacksboro, here in Tennessee. And they built houses by taking Indian mounds, moving the mounds. The bodies were still under the ground, and building the houses on top of where the bodies were. And no one lives there now for a big reason, because they're all haunted as shit. And the lady that lived in this house saw shadow people. And not only did she see them, no, but for the next couple of days, several people from her church came in and let me know that they blessed her house, and they were freaked out by the house because they were there and they saw a big shadow standing behind her every time she walked around the house. And it was following her around and stuff. They wouldn't even go in there anymore. They were talking to me about it. A 19-year-old with a voice recorder who knew nothing about what he was doing, but was really into it. And we witnessed 4 or 5 times different people, shadow people, walking around inside those homes, not just the one we were investigating, but several of the homes we were watching that were cleared out, no one was living in. But in her house, standing behind her in the bathroom, looming over her while they were talking to her. It was terrifying. It was the first thing I ever witnessed was the scariest thing other than the Macedonia story, which I believe to this day was a hallucination. But that story is why I've been saving it to this point. So sorry, Hopper, but I had to tell that story.
No, you're fine. No, I mean, it's not uncommon. I'm sure, people, that's experienced like sleep paralysis and things like that could probably see shadow people. I mean, that could be one factor.
I
But
saw something.
yeah, I believe they're real too, because I've actually saw them for myself. Not in just, I've seen them in multiple houses, like different places that I've personally been. I've seen them for myself. And yes, they are quite, I don't know, it's weird. I can't quite explain it myself, but do I believe that they're real? Absolutely.
I'll be really honest with you guys, man. Like, the only time I've ever seen anything like that is back when I was in my 20s, and me and a mutual friend of Cody's, Sam, was running around robo tripping. That's the only time I've ever seen anything like that. You guys are like just even close to what you guys are describing right now. Like, every time I've ever seen a paranormal
Well, what's crazy is
ghost, it's been like a clear kind of dark mass, a clear mass, dark mass, clear gray mass. You can still see through it, like optical camouflage almost.
what I was telling you about was basically when my story was everybody saw that, but basically me. I never saw those shadows, but everybody around me was seeing it and telling me about it. So it was freaking me out. I never saw that. Like I've said to you, if I ever saw something that was actually, like I could clearly point out, that would really change.
See, I'm actually a big supporter of the idea that psychedelics will actually lower the kind of the gateway between the two realms, so to say.
100%.
Yeah. So in order to see something like that, I think with my mind, the way it works, man, this is going to get into some psychological stuff. It's got a very strict, a strict set of rules about it, So anytime I see something that's out of place or paranormal, I'm always going to analyze it first and kind of try to break it down to the most logical conclusion of what it could be. Okay. So with that being said, it's real hard for me to see apparitions and things like that unless it's just like out the corner of my eye. I've done that a couple times. I see somebody who I thought, was there, isn't, and they weren't there. And out of the corner of my eye, though.
Yeah, I blame Benadryl.
Yeah, but the only time I've ever been able to actually see things that other people see is I've had to be inhibited by some kind of low dose psychotropic or something of that nature, So like robotripping's got one of the ingredients is a low dose. Taken in high enough doses can become a psychotropic. And that's why people
Dimethyl, whatever.
Yeah. That's why people robotrip in the first place, because it's a psychedelic. But
they still put that stuff in stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a
Wow,
cough
okay.
suppressant. So I mean, you have to drink a lot of it though. I'm telling you. Like in order to actually robo trip, you gotta drink like at least at the minimum 2 bottles of that shit. Like down them back to back.
Yeah, I
And
don't think I ever got there, but maybe by accident.
hmm And it tastes horrible, dude. It's so hard to put in. Like it's so hard to drink
Gross.
straight through. It's gross. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Like that's the worst way you could do psychedelics. Like, I mean, there's much better, cleaner, easier ways to do psychedelics.
Hey, do you want to drink a lot of cough syrup and get sick before you get fucked up?
Yeah.
Try this out.
You ever tried DMT?
You ever tried it with 18 different ways to get there before you actually ingest it? Because first you gotta puke 3 times, or something like that.
It's horrible, dude. It's so bad. It's so bad, man. But I think that that's the only way that people like me or people like you could actually like see, because I know you're kind of on a similar wavelength in terms of thought process that I am. Like you'll take something and kind of
Yeah.
look at all the angles, man. Like Houdini,
Mhm.
if he was coming across a Ouija board, and somebody is like, "Oh yeah, this is working." Well, I mean, he would look at, is there a magnet under the table? Is there string above the cup? Is there this, that, and the other thing? He would just pick it apart because that's the type of
Yeah,
man
you got to.
he was.
You got to.
Yeah. So
It's hard not to when you're like that.
Cody and Eric and Ash. Okay, so I guess I'm next, and I'm not gonna make my long tail like Cody did with the trying to be all dramatic about it and everything.
I was being silly.
He's being silly. I'm gonna put a thing in the
I was.
edited video. Like I'll announce it like now story time with Cody, and then I'll put like some music behind it as you're telling the story during the podcast.
That was the idea.
Yeah, I think that's
it
gonna
was
be
like my fun little segment.
yeah. So I'm gonna keep with the pirate theme, guys, and talk about the Flying Dutchman, and not the Disney version either, because I'm not really going to get too much of the fiction. Everybody knows what the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are. Everybody knows what the Flying Dutchman is in that movie. Okay, it is the vessel for Davy Jones, right? Okay, well,
Yeah.
Davy Jones wasn't actually a person. All right, the Davy Jones comes from Davy Jones' locker, which is up to a completely different subject, but I'm just kind of touching on it to get that out of the way. Which is sort of like, the pirates version of the underworld. All right. So let's knock Davy Jones out of the equation. The Flying Dutchman, as far as I could tell from research I've done, has only ever showed up during like a bad storm, like a hurricane or something of that nature, And so it's thought to have crashed um, that way, and it was just the ship's like remnants keep on coming across whenever there's a bad storm. It's an apparition that only shows up during a bad storm. So, like if you're out in the open water and you see the Flying Dutchman, you probably want to take that as a signal that there's something bad about to happen. Hurricane.
You mean
or
like
tsunami.
Ghost Pirates?
Something of that nature. Ghost Pirates. Ruh-roh. So the actual model for the captain of the Flying Dutchman was a guy named Bernard, and I'm going to really screw this last name up, Folk. He was a captain of the Dutch Indian, East Indian Trading Company. He did a lot of speed trips. So he would go from the Dutch Republic to Java, in a record time. People thought that he actually had a deal with the devil, and that's the reason why when the Flying Dutchman actually crashed, trying to get to harbor, it became a apparition instead of everybody just falling to death below and being taken by Davy Jones' locker. And there's been sightings of it in the ocean, but they're very old sightings. I haven't seen any new sightings in my research. I just thought it was interesting because I wanted to keep with the Pirates theme of the show.
Yeah, that would be a trip if like there were new sightings. Like, did you see the fucking pirate ship that pulled up next to the boat last night? Did you see it? There were ghost pirates on that ship.
That fucking
Come
episode
out
of
here.
Scooby Doo is coming
I
true.
need you to see. It's a fucking pirate ship. No, I mean like Jack Sparrow shit. Over there. It's a no. I wasn't. No, it's a nightmare. Like you would be petrified.
Oh
Imagine.
yeah, dude. Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh my god.
I mean, could you imagine being in open water and seeing that? Like, if you're just open water, you're shrimp fishing or whatever out in the middle of the ocean, you come across that boat, man. That would trip you the fuck out, man. The first thing I would be doing is changing my fucking underwear, man. Like, for real.
I was gonna say, can you die by shitting your pants?
Yeah,
Because
yeah. You know what? I'm really surprised that somebody hasn't built a scaled pirate ship, okay, and then like painted it like a grayish white and called it the Flying Dutchman, taking it out in open water, in the Pacific or whatever, taking it out in open water,
yeah.
and then like just like trolling people, like hardcore trolling people.
Yeah, I know
Like,
people in the haunt industry, guys. I know the escape room is making you so much money right now, but go get a pirate.
man, go
Everybody
make
needs a
It's the
pirate.
best advertising you'll ever have.
Yeah, go make a pirate ship, and put it on open water.
For real.
I mean,
Yes, exactly. Nothing could go wrong here.
no.
No, well, I mean,
They could get shot down and
nothing can
sunk,
go too right.
but nothing can go too right. But it can't go too wrong either. So well, I don't know. It could go really, really wrong.
They were super fans. That's why they died. That's how you explain it in our world.
So, I want
people.
everybody kind of like their opinion on what ghosts actually are, man. Like, what do you guys believe the apparitions are? People are actually seeing. Just theories,
Could
Like
be a
the
mirror
idea
universe
that
touching
it's.
our own.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it could be a mirror dimension touching our own. There was actually an episode of Doctor Who that addressed that directly, and it turns out it was some enemy of the Doctors, but they were pushing through from like an alter.
Yeah, it's always an enemy of the Doctor, but like you can. It's always one of those guys. But no, the idea there, I think, is one of the most solid ones. Is the multiverse theory that like it's a mirror universe or it's a multiple other Earth that's encroaching on our own, and there's a thin spot between. You're in one of those thin spots. You see some shit, and you're like, "That's crazy. Why is it like that?" And it's gone.
So, like that movie, The Others.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is a good example. A very good example. That's a good movie. Hey, watch that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Nicole Kidman. Good. It's a good haunting movie. It's fucked up.
So,
The Lighthouse.
What about
Watch
you,
it.
Ash? What about you?
What do I think they are?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some weird shit in my lifetime that like I can't explain. I'm just like, what the fuck? I don't know. I think they're just like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, not everybody, is like religious or anything like that, but I most of the time I think they're just like spiritual beings. Something definitely like not earthly, if that makes sense.
So,
Like multi-dimensional.
Multi-dimensional.
multi-dimensional. Like, you know how I feel
Mr.
about it, man.
Mixit-Pitlick.
You know how I feel about it. Like I've explained this before. I think I touched upon it a little bit in our first episode. Where it's basically like, you know, your older avatar being deleted, and then not all of it's deleted, and still some remains, a ghost file, like in a computer.
Somebody has to do a cache flush on this then.
Yeah, because it's. I think they stick around, man. I think you can't. If we're in a simulation, you can't delete every single little file. No computer.
Well, that
I mean,
explains.
do that.
It explains a lot, and also it explains the idea that they could be coming from multiple original archetypal sources where people have these ideas of past lives, because that's built on a certain string of code that's the bottom of the code.
Right. Right. I mean,
It's just left over.
you can still have like. You can still have like uh, a ghost in quotation marks and a reincarnation, because the ghost file is not actually the person's avatar. It's the person who was jettisoned into another body's from there on out. So you can still have the two coexist together in the same simulation. It's just that this is just a remnant of deleted files. Like when I go, if they don't delete me all completely, there'll be like leftovers, that could compilate into one file and make a ghost file. Yeah, so I mean, I try not to look at it from a spiritual angle, man. It just, I believe that a lot of spiritual things in this world could be explained through a scientific lens, but it would sound more like science fiction than actual fact. So it sounds really crazy, but I am trying to put a logical spin on how I perceive spirituality, you know.
I think the obvious meeting point for humanity will be in a future where, oh, sorry, the bomb's going off. It will be in a future where the ideas of spirituality and science merge into perfectly. That is our best outcome, where we figure out all the things that question everything, and that we found this new other thing to call things, and that's what the things are. Hey, welcome to Things, the podcast. I'm your host, Things. I'm kidding. No, ultimately, I think you can almost explain everything away with a simulation theory. Then again, hey, guys in the simulation, if you're listening up there, I'm really down with this kind of stuff because I like a lot of science fiction novels. So if you can let me in on it and I can just keep repeating this, I'll keep it up forever. I won't tell these guys. Let me know. Okay? But seriously.
You know about the
Exactly. I'm glad you brought it up. It's very interesting.
The what?
So, the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Okay.
Go with it. Hit it.
Hold on.
Do we know?
Having some technical issues real quick.
Oh no, he's on the Sonic PA system.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Sorry.
Had some technical issues real quick. Mandela effect. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that's been noticed over the past several days. And the concept concept is that we may be living in an alternate universe or a different timeline because some things that people remember happening did not happen or didn't happen the way they thought it did. However, it isn't just an individual who's having that delusion. It's many people. And so people think that Nelson Mandela died in the 1990s in a prison in South Africa, and that's what spurred the entire apartheid. Now, other people who live in this timeline remember that Nelson Mandela died in 2013, 2014 from natural causes after being the president of South Africa for a long time. Say what?
I said I believe it was 13, yeah, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So basically, this is like simulation theory is that these are glitches, glitches in our memory files or whatever, because, so many people remember it one way and so many people remember it the other. Another good example is the Berenstain versus Berenstain Bears. So there's a lot of people who claim that it's Berenstain with an E, and then, a lot of other people believe that it's Berenstain with an A. What were you saying, Cody?
Sorry, it just really upsets me. Like, it triggers me. I didn't mean to, even pop in like that, but I remember Berenstain Bears because I remember it being like Frankenstein. And I was like, it's not Frankenstein, it's Steen. And I called them the Berenstain Bears. And I remember being corrected for that. And that is why this really bothers me.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Here's what I propose to you. Here's what I propose to you. So, here's what I think happened is that through the course of our simulation, someone, I'm not naming names, someone sold the simulation to another developer, and this new developer is like passing a game from CD Projekt Red to EA. They're just screwing it all up and giving us bad DLC and horrible patches. Okay? Oh yeah. It's definitely in Bethesda's hands now. Like, it's definitely in that glitchy ass developer of video games. This is Elder Scrolls. No, this is Fallout 76 levels of bad. Okay. That's what happened, is the developers got switched halfway through the simulation. Because this has been screwed up for so long.
No wonder I'm so motivated now. It's all wrong. Because I shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be. So
I should be like, nah, fuck that.
Fuck
and
it.
doing nothing.
Yeah. Nah,
yeah,
man.
Exactly. What happened to that guy? What happened?
I'm not getting off this couch, man. Nah, man. This ain't happening. Nah, I'm good.
Did I miss that guy?
You guys want to go, catch a movie or something? Nah, I'm good, man.
Nah.
Social distancing and all, man. I can't be doing that shit.
Yeah. Speaking of social distancing, I've got a digital date with the girlfriend, so I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all guys go, and I'll talk with you again later.
Oh, you're lying.
Thank you for having me.
You're lying.
I really appreciate it.
For real.
He's lying.
I am.
He ain't got no digital date. He's good.
Huh. I will not stop a man from his. I will not stop a man from his Southern Belle.
Hey, I'll take
a woman by the
too,
hand.
Man.
Okay.
Later, bro.
Later, buddy.
See ya.
Bye.
But everybody's like, so anyway, fuck that guy.
You can't hang with the big boys. You can't do it.
I would kill somebody. Being so rude.
Oh my god. Yeah, man. So, I guess we'll just touch upon some extra stuff. Man, I think a lot of the times that I've seen like ghost shows on TV, it's kind of overplayed a little bit, man. To be honest with you, um, I think
Yeah.
Ghost Hunters probably is like the closest to the truth of actual ghost hunting um, as a general science, but even it's kind of over exaggerated a little bit. Um, but like Ghost
Yeah, but they were trying.
Adventures, Ghost Asylum, um, buddy. I mean, I watch a lot of these, and it's not that they're bad shows. Okay, I don't hate the shows. Okay, obviously I watch them, so I don't hate them. I just think they're shit. Does that make sense? Like they're a B movie. You get what I'm saying? They're a B movie.
Yeah, and I think Zach Baggins knows that.
Yeah.
I think that's why he may be the swarthiest of the individuals running these shows, because I think that he's in on his own joke. And he's a bit of a businessman. And he seems like he's a rather clever dude in actuality.
Hardcore germaphobe too.
Yeah, right. I think he knows what he's doing. And I think that he's like, you know what? I'm going to ride this on in there, because he's got his like Zach Baggins freak show out in Las Vegas and all that stuff that he's doing, you know? So the
Yeah.
dude, he's a businessman.
Oh
And he
yeah.
knew how to cash in on it the way they didn't. The way that the Ghost Hunters, they quit because of that, if you remember. They quit because of manufactured bullshit.
See that team right there would probably be the team that I would actually be like, yeah, they're going to go out of their way to make sure that their principles aren't compromised, you know, by TV executives or executive producers, anything like that. They're going to make sure that they're going to put as close to as the real thing as you could put on TV. But the other ones, man, they're like that hunting Bigfoot show on, I think it's Discovery.
It
You know, where you have
is on Discovery, I think.
those four like redneck dudes in the woods looking for Bigfoot, and they come up with all kinds of like weird stories. Like,
Are you talking about Mountain Monsters?
yeah, dude.
Oh my god, that is a cartoon, dude.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. Because they're totally making shit up as they
Oh,
go
yeah.
and building crazy traps,
Oh yeah.
crazy ghost traps, or crazy cryptid traps.
Yeah, they're
And they're hunting like
yeah.
the grass man and shit like that. That is bonkers.
Yeah, dude.
They
But
know it.
it keeps people interested, you know. I mean, people like the fiction, they like
It's
the drama,
funny. I love it.
you know.
I
So,
love it, but I know it's fake.
you know, people don't want to watch an actual ghost hunt. Like those ghost hunter live shows. I mean, my God, dude,
Oh, that's boring.
they were probably the most boring live shows I've ever watched. And there's people who will watch them and people who will be entertained by them. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you're bad for thinking they're entertaining. But just me personally, being ADD, pretty fucking boring, you know. And they condense those shows
Speaking
down,
of which,
you know.
enjoy our live ghost hunt we'll be doing at some point on this channel.
Yeah, even I just talk shit about it being boring as shit.
Clip out this part of my voice. What Jesse said just before it, please.
Oh man, I mean, there's obviously there's obviously an audience for it, or they wouldn't have done them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But you know,
Oh.
and that's probably about as close to an actual ghost hunt you can ever get to, man. Like that, you know, 5, 6, 7 hours, and they get one or two footsteps here and some EVPs. That's close to it. That's you know. But a lot of the times, man, these things like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Asylum. They make it out to be like they're staying overnight for 12 hours and they're getting all this footage from that one night. I don't think so, man. I just don't. I really don't.
No. Do you remember that Ghost PD show or some shit like that, where there was like a bunch of cops, and they were like they had all this crazy futuristic equipment, and they were ghost hunting?
No,
and they were
but
better than everyone else?
really need to look this up, dude. Like, I really need that in my
Woo!
life. I really need that in my life, man. Like, that sounds
We're ghost
terrific.
cops. We're ghost cops, and I got a mustache. Like, I mean,
That sounds
Yeah.
terrific, man. That sounds like
Something
right
else.
up my alley. Oh
hey,
shit,
somebody
man.
found that show. I don't know what it's called. I hope it's called Ghost Cops.
Ghost
not.
cops.
Ghost Cops, trademark, copyrighted
Oh,
right here,
man.
right now. You can't take Ghost Cops from me. I'm gonna make a movie called Ghost.
Ghost
He's a
cops.
ghost, but he's also a cop. Hey, this summer, Ghost Cop just wants a samurai who's a ghost.
I mean,
He's a cop.
they had a game on the Xbox 360 called Murdered Soul Suspect, where you were kind of like trying to solve your own murder, and you were a ghost, and you were also a cop at one time. You know, so
I remember that and love it.
yeah,
By the way,
yeah.
it's a really cool concept, and I wanted more.
They only come out with those
Weird,
games
and
every
I
once
like
in a while, dude. Like, they only try these experimental things every so often. It
dude,
don't
that-
sell a whole lot of copies, man.
On the Switch, a lot of that happens a lot, and that's why I'm loving it right now. Is the indie games that are coming on there that are like that. It's really weird, and thank you, Japan.
Right.
Ultimately,
Like, I know Death Stranding, it's one of those games where it's real niche, man. You gotta be a high Hideo Kojima fan to really appreciate what he did with that game. It didn't make Sony a whole lot of money, but I mean,
it's important.
yeah, it's important because it's going to be one of those games that you're going to look back at, 10, 12 years down the road and go, that was pretty revolutionary, you know?
Yeah. You're gonna be like, damn, that was it. I knew it when I played it.
Mm-hmm. They only come around every so often.
Weird.
They really just try something different and try something new. It's really interesting, man. Like, it's really, really good stuff. And it's mostly Japanese.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Thanks, Japan,
Yeah.
for like everything. For real.
Oh, since I've been kind of into this
Thanks.
horror and paranormal kick here lately, they had a Steam sale the other day, man. I picked up Alan Wake for $1.50. Okay.
What a great fucking game is that?
So
You're gonna shit all over it, I know, but
no. I'm liking it. It's not that. It's when I went to start playing it, the grass was like cardboard panels of grass. And I'm like,
what?
wait, when did this game
Wait,
come
no.
out? I was like,
No.
what's going on here? And I looked it up, and I was like, this like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era. I was like, it shouldn't look like that. That's no good, and that's not how grass is supposed to look. So,
By the way, Xbox 360 exclusive. Never
right.
came out on PlayStation. Amazing.
So, I looked it up, and it was just I had to let my video card choose the 3D application to choose for the program instead of like automatically choosing it, something of that nature. I had to change something in the 3D menu, and it worked. Grass looks great, but it was like driving me nuts, dude, trying to play this thing with cardboard grass everywhere. I was like, what is? I can't. No, I can't do this. This is
Alan Wake and Yoshi's Crafted World do not go together.
This is not immersive. This is not. No, I can't do this. You know.
Very different aesthetics.
Yeah. And it's like so happy when I fixed it last night. My old lady's like, I was like, oh yeah, or something like that, and she's like, what? I was like, I fixed the game from making the grass look like cardboard. She just looked like I'm dumb, dude. She looked at me like
it was
I was
like
just
Xbox
stupid.
that slammed into Nintendo.
Yeah. It's like, you know, Animal Cross or Paper Mario with Resident Evil. You know, I mean, just doesn't gel right. You know.
Yeah. What's this darkness all around me? Could it be provided by some acorns? I'm a happy squirrel. Like, what?
Does anybody remember Mad Mario? Please
What?
tell me y'all know what that is.
What is
Mad
it?
Mario.
Mad
Mario,
Mario.
yes.
Y'all remember that?
No.
What?
No.
Oh, dude, you gotta look it up. It is fucking hilarious.
Is it a YouTube series? Is it videos?
Wait, yeah, I think it is. There's like 2 or 3 different parts to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Where
It's like
he's
the
like,
funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah. Where that fucking block with the spikes on it. It's like when he goes down, he goes, oh. He's like making all kinds of sexual sounds, and the ghosts are behind him, and he keeps having to turn around, telling him to stop moving or something like that. Yeah, those. Yeah, I've seen them.
Don't look.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen those all too well.
Yeah.
What were those ghosts called? Were they called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were they called Big
Yeah.
Boo?
Big boobs? I like some big
Ghost?
boobs, but you know, it's besides the point.
Big Boo. Boo.
Oh,
Oh
Boo.
my god.
shit, brother, man, you got me all
Boo.
excited.
My boo. Like that kind of boo. Like boo. Like the way you always hear it. Like, my boo down at the Dollar General. Like, you know.
God.
No, I am stuck on Mario now. I'm so sorry, folks. Hey, did you guys know that Mario's last name is probably Mario?
It's Mario.
It's Mario.
Yeah. Mario, and Luigi Mario.
And Luigi.
Yep.
Hey, that movie rocks, by the way. I don't fucking care.
Man,
like, it might not be a great it might not be a great Super Mario Brothers movie, but it's a fun Dennis Hopper apocalypse dinosaur movie.
It's something. I mean,
it is wild, dude.
It's
I rewatched
something.
it recently. Wild. Super Mario Brothers is crazy.
Wow. And you know what's
That
funny
movie
is
is nuts.
when that movie was announced and they started putting the toys out on the shelves, I actually bought like every single I don't have them now. God, I wish I did. It'd be funny.
I do too, man, because I'm fucking sane.
But I had every single figure they put out, and then when I watched the movie, I couldn't have been more disappointed in my life.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
bad
oh,
as a kid.
because it looks so
Hurt
cool with the
bad.
jaws. The jaws as like the jumper boots and all this shit, and just you know, Yoshi was a real actual
really great designs.
raptor, you know, and it was, but it's just no, man, I can't. It's just too much of a change. It's way too much of a shift in tone. Like, just way too much.
Had it been a movie not called Super Mario Brothers with just different names, it would be a cult classic.
Right, but because it has
Like,
that name,
people would be like,
you know.
yo, yeah. People would be all up in it. It's like the Double Dragon movie. If Double Dragon wasn't called Double Dragon, people would fucking love that movie. I love that movie. I don't care. It's got martial arts and Mark Dacascos in it. we're in. Like we're watching this.
Right. That was Paranormal Parlay. Please remember to like and subscribe and share this video out across the social media landscape. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.